Welcome to the Mom Entrepreneur Success Podcast with Mariana C. Ruiz, the podcast for the go-getter mom entrepreneur who refuses to let motherhood slow her down from achieving success and making an impact. Tune in Mondays to learn the success secrets of top influencers who also happen to be moms so that you can reach the success, freedom, and impact you desire.
Ready to create success on your terms, mom entrepreneur? Head on over to marianacruiz.com/success to download your copy of the game plan. It's a step-by-step process to get you results and enjoy every step of the journey. Because as mom entrepreneurs, it's about designing a business around our lives and not the other way around. Plus, I also walk you through areas where you might get stuck to help you avoid the pitfalls that so many of us have to go through. So head on over to marianacruiz.com to get your copy now. Welcome to the Mom Entrepreneur Success Podcast. Today we're going to be talking all about stepping into your role of the CEO. And I'm going to use my success game plan as a way to walk you through what it would look like as you apply this in your business. Okay, so we're going to start with the vision. And so before you decide to delegate or outsource anything in your business, you'll want to make sure that it's in alignment with your vision. What is the vision that you want for your business and for your life? So do you want to run a big business that's, has multiple people in it and multiple specialties? Or are you really okay with being a solopreneur and doing it all yourself? And what would that look like in your life? So that's the first piece. And again, with the vision, only you know this. So don't let anybody tell you that you need to outsource if it's not in your vision. Now, if your vision is to impact millions and do these huge things and you're expecting to do that all yourself, there's some space for you to reflect on that and make sure that's totally doable. I'm not saying it's not, but there has to be some being realistic, right, about your expectations. And next I want to say, make sure you include the vision of your life, right? Are you the one doing all of the cleaning? Are you the one doing all of the cooking? Are you the one doing the transportation? Or are you the one taking care of your kids, right? That can be very different from mom to mom, and that's okay. There's no guilt or shame around any of that. It's just what you prefer and what you want for your life. It's your life, so choose what you want. Okay. Next, let's go into mindset. So for the mindset piece, I want you to think about time as your most precious resource. And anytime that I'm struggling with delegating something, because honestly, I still do. So anytime I'm struggling this, what I usually do is think back to this scenario that I'm going to share with you today. When I was working as a neurosurgical ICU nurse, I was 23 years old. I had just graduated from college and I started working there. And I took care of two patients. Both of them were usually comatose. They would be on a breathing machine. They were very, very sick. And every hour I needed to assess each of them for their neurological exam. So basically making sure that everything inside of their brain was still functioning at the same level that it had been or better and not declining. So if I were to have found something that was abnormal or the patient was showing signs that they were doing not well, we would have to go to a CAT scan, and the saying was time is brain, because literally every second that would pass that patient did not have an intervention to improve their brain cells were literally dying. Okay? So time passing by would mean brain cells dying. And so we would have to get into the CAT scan machine within like 15 to 20 minutes so that they could possibly even be in the OR within an hour's time or less sometimes of discovering an abnormality. So what does that mean for us? For us as mom entrepreneurs, we need to realize that time is not brain. Time is the only precious resource that we cannot get back. We can always get back more money. You can spend all your money and make it back tomorrow. So time is the only thing that you cannot get back. You can get more stuff. You can buy more stuff. You can give away all your stuff and it'll all, pile back up, right? But with time, it's a finite resource. And so that is our most precious commodity. So I want you to start to think of that as your most precious commodity, because that's where the magic starts to happen as far as allowing the help into your business. At least for me, it did. And next, mindset-wise, I want you to think about it as the whole point of delegating is you spend $15 an hour so that you can turn around and go make $200, $300, $500, $1,000 an hour. And as an entrepreneur, the beauty is your income is unlimited. But the only thing that limits your income is not delegating and staying stuck doing $10 an hour tasks. Then you physically do not have space, brain power, or time to do the $1,000 an hour task. Okay? So then we move into the strategy. So I'm going to give you some very I'm giving you some very concrete tips for how to delegate in your business. The very, very first step is you want to identify what the tasks are that you'll delegate. And so I already kind of alluded to this, but I'm going to just make it even more blunt and obvious. Anything that you're doing that somebody else can do for $5, $10 an hour needs to be delegated. I'm not saying you need to delegate that today or tomorrow, because again, if it's not in your vision, then that's not in your vision, right? But if you want to make more money, this is one of the ways that you can do that. So what are the things that you could delegate that still feels good to you? And again, it's not meaning that you have to delegate today or tomorrow, but this is something that you will delegate first, right? Because what I want you to do is take action on this today. And it might not mean delegating, because I'm going to walk you through these steps, okay? So that the first step is get clear on what it is you want to delegate. It's going to be anything that you don't have to physically be doing. So next, you want to create a system around this. And creating a system is so important because this is what in corporate would be a standard operating procedure, or anything, a policy and procedure is what we used to call it a lot of times. And basically, it's the step-by-step process. What is the step-by-step process? Well, I'm going to give you an example from one of the very first things that I delegated and one of the processes that I teach in my Content Queen course. So in this course, we teach a copy and paste system for creating your content, because I think that content creation is really, really important for you to grow your business, but you don't always have to be the one to physically post it onto Facebook or post it onto your blog 20 times in the week, right? Because somebody else could do it. You could be the genius coming up with the content and save the time in the input, okay? you set up the back end system, which is what we teach you in Content Queen. But the next thing you want to do is set up a standard operating procedure. So you've already have something that is flowing, right? Like you have your content coming in, right? What are they going to do with it? Well, you would say something like, step 1, log into Facebook. Step 2, log into Trello. Step 3, copy the text from this card. This is how you know it's the next card, right? Or this is how you would know where to start. Or always start here, right? It's basically telling them like a guide, a roadmap for how to get through the steps, okay? So that's the first one. And next, what you want to do is now you're ready to create your ad. And this is where people usually go wrong, is because they'll create the ad and not have a system. And so when they hire the person gets on and they're like, I have no idea what to do. But if you were to work anywhere, even at McDonald's or even at, I don't know, anywhere, they would have some sort of training to let you know what you need to do to fulfill your job. And so we have to do the same thing in our business, even if we're the only ones, because right now you're the only one and you can do it. But if you're going to have somebody else do it, it needs to be communicated well. So when you create the ad, here's one of the tricks that I use. I'm going to give you a couple different things in here. Number 1, you want to hire based on somebody's strengths. This is why I include a strengths assessment in my 6-month program, because I think that if we're hiring for our strengths, it's something that doesn't go away. I can't teach somebody how to be hardworking. I can't teach somebody to be honest, but I can teach somebody how to use WordPress. Do you see the difference? And so when you create the ad, you want to talk about those soft skills that you're looking for. In the last VA that I hired, I literally wrote in the ad, I want somebody who's hardworking, who's detail-oriented, and who's a great communicator. And those are things that I cannot teach somebody, but I can teach her how to use GetResponse because she doesn't know how to use that. And so those are the things that I want you to start to think about. What is it that would mesh really well with your personality and how you work and how you run your business? And hire around that. Now, you don't want somebody that is like a perfect match in their strengths to yours, because you want, part of the point of a team, right, is that you have people working together based on their strengths that are slightly different than yours. But either way, there are some things that are non-negotiable for you. And identify those, put pen to paper, and then that's part of your ad. Okay. Step 1 is get clear on what you want to delegate. Step 2 is create systems before even thinking about hiring. Step 3 is create the ad, and you'll want to post the ad is step 5. Post the ad. You can post it in things like Upwork, onlinejobs.ph, Fiverr, those kind of things. And then step 3. Oh man, I'm totally lost with the numbers. Step 6, you'll go through the applications and eliminate the people that are not ideal. So one of the things, I forgot to mention it, this is another trick that I do in the actual ad, is I will ask them to follow directions for something, especially if I'm asking for somebody who's really detail oriented. I will say something like, send me a link to your favorite blog post, or send me a link to your favorite song music video. And it's silly. It doesn't have to be anything. It's just to make sure that they're following directions. Because if they're following directions in an application, then that would be a really good sign that they're going to follow directions when you work with them. So I'll give you an example of how many people that weeded out. In the last time that I hired, within 2 hours, I had over 60 applicants. and less than 20 of them gave the special instruction that I, followed through on that special instruction that I had. So that's quite a bit. That was easy to eliminate, about 30% of them. Okay, so next you want to go through and decide which ones you're going to interview, and then go through the interview process. Now, I've set up a little bonus free gift upgrade for you of the exact interview questions that I ask, so that you can kind of get a feel for what the interview questions are going to be like. But I do recommend that you do some scenario-based questions specifically for what you want, right? So an example would be in nursing. When I got hired as a nurse, we had all kinds of scenario-based questions. They would be like, well, what would you do if you had an abnormal lab value and, the doctor was sleeping, or, something stupid like that, where it would be a difficult situation, but it's something that you're going to run into all of the time. And so you want to kind of see kind of how they would react in those scenario type questions. Okay. And the last thing is you select your candidate. But realize that you want to hire slow and fire fast. So hiring slow means you can slow down the selection process if you need to. And one of the things I did in this last round, which worked really well, is I did a trial period. So I selected, I think, two different people, and we had them each do the task that was going to be assigned to them. And I did pay them whether or not they were chosen, just because I don't think it's really fair for me to have a trial period and not pay them. But at any rate, what ended up happening is I chose the one that I thought had the best communication skills, the best attention to detail, and, the best results at the end of the day. So that's kind of another option for hiring slow. Now, if you're still stuck on who to hire, which has happened to me before, when I first started doing this, it was really tough for me to select anybody. And what I did do was go to my coach and kind of consult with them. Or you could consult with your spouse or a friend if you have a biz bestie or something like that. Those are some other places you can consult. Or reach out in the Entrepreneurial Moms group. That's kind of what we're there for, is to collaborate and help you in any way we can. Don't pick anybody based on speed of response, arbitrary things, or because you're in a rush, right? That would be pretty much the worst thing that you could do. And I only have to say this here because I know for me, like when I was hiring a nanny, I was like, oh, but it would be just so convenient, right? Like, or she can start next week. So, and those kind of things are not what you want to do. You want to just pick somebody based on these things that I've already outlined. And know that if you make a bad hiring decision, it doesn't mean anything about how you are as a CEO. You're still a great CEO. You're still a great, owner of a business. We all make good and bad hiring decisions. It's kind of, normal for you to have people that you have to let go. It's part of owning a business, and it's totally okay. And I want you to think about corporate if you ever doubt yourself on that and be like, well, yeah, there were some good hiring decisions and there were some bad hiring decisions in, probably in your department or wherever you worked. And that didn't matter whether they went through 50 hoops in corporate, in, maybe in HR or not, right? That happens everywhere. So I don't want you to think that there's anything wrong with you if you have to fire somebody or if something doesn't work out. Okay. So that is pretty much the entire strategy piece. Next, I'm going to give you some action items. Again, remember that the bulk of the results that will happen if you decide to take action on this is through the strategy and the action. So let's talk about the action. Action-wise, what you can start to do today is get crystal clear on those activities that you could have somebody do for $5, $10, $15 an hour that will free you up to take on more work that is higher paying or that can generate a lot more revenue for you. Or even think about it this way. Sometimes just having the mental space, even if you're not doing something, that's because you could literally have an idea sitting at the beach somewhere that could make you thousands of dollars. So don't let the downtime make you feel that it's not productive work. Okay. So anyways, I digress a little. So that's your action step. And next, I want to talk about support again. I've mentioned it a few times, but if you want additional support, go into the Entrepreneurial Moms group, and I'll link to it in the show notes. And lastly, the last part of the game plan is the reflection piece. So reflection is so important in this topic that we're talking about, is stepping into the role of the CEO. The first piece that I want to touch on with reflection is reflecting on the activities that you are doing that you could potentially outsource. That's the first thing that we could be doing some reflection about. The other thing is reflecting on the actual staff that you've brought on or the systems that you have in your business and kind of see where there might be bottlenecks. Because here's the truth. If you've done a thorough hiring process like the one I just outlined, and if you've interviewed them and you've gotten some great interview questions, and there's still something wrong in their ability to execute, and over you're hiring staff for the same position, or whatever it is, there might be a problem with the system and not with the person. And there's a lot of books out there on being a manager that talk about this. But when there's a problem with the employee, assume that it's the system first before we point fingers at the employee. So with the reflection piece, one of the things you can do is go through the system and see where there might be some inefficiencies in the system itself. Okay? So that's kind of the reflection piece of the game plan. And be sure to go and download the interview questions that I use, the swipe file. And you can do that by going to marianacruiz.com S1E5 download. And I'll have it there for you, or just click on the show notes and I'll also link to it there. So that is it for today's episode. Have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. You've been listening to the Mom Entrepreneur Success Podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. Now it's time for me to hear from you. Head on over to iTunes and leave us a rating and review. And if you're on Stitcher, you can still go and leave us a rating and review as well. As an added bonus, for anybody who leaves a review, I'm going to do a free 20-minute strategy session. All you have to do to enter is send over your review to operations@marianacruiz.com. If you need instructions on how to review the podcast, simply go to the show notes section and you can get the screenshots there. Have a great day. Bye.